And just this message that's coming about the earlier issue that we're looking at, and Martin Luther in Laboni says that this is my personal opinion that the CJ's efforts to salvage the judiciary's image will be realized, or if that is not done, based on the outcome of the purported scandal leveled against the judges in the announced bribery and corruption video. Currently, as things stand, the public has no confidence in the judiciary at all. Well, let me just hear. Dr. Clement Apak is a presidential staffer and an MP aspirant. Good morning and welcome to the show. Abdul Malik Bako is editor-in-chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper. Morning and welcome, Senior.
Thank you.
And joining us soon will be Nana Akomia and also Dr. Ransford Jampo. Nana Akomia is Communications Director of the NPP. Dr. Ransford Jampo is a senior political science lecturer at the University of Ghana. Now, I haven't heard you comment on this issue since it came up, but in the last week, the way things are going, people are saying that there are efforts to frustrate the speedy process, you know, to punish, so to speak, the focus on unmasking Anas and all of those things. A judge was supposed to show up, they didn't show up, and all of that. What do you say?
Well, first of all, let me say
very briefly.
Good morning to our viewers and listeners, and thank you again for this opportunity. You are fully aware that when it comes to the challenges that we face in terms of our justice delivery system, have been, for the past several years, a very active voice. And to be honest, I wasn't particularly surprised by the revelations
under
made
the auspices of the Forum for Governance and Justice,
which came into being largely because we felt that that was an area of our governance system.
Is it defunct now? We hardly hear of that entity anymore.
It is present, but like every institution, it is going through a reorganization, largely because my current responsibilities makes it very difficult for me to continue to be the leading voice of the group. But it is alive. But be as it may, I think that it is now very clear that we have moved from perception about what is wrong with our justice delivery system to knowing that there's indeed some credibility which may have supported some of those perceptions. And I think that the attitude of the Judicial Council, the Chief Justice, and even the executive in terms of the role of the President in this must be commended. But I find it a bit unfortunate that there seems to be an effort to frustrate the processes that we all know should be undertaken. This is not to say that as citizens, even those who, quote unquote, have been badly exposed by the very methodical and thought-provoking and detailed investigation, which actually includes visuals, should not have their day in court. We are a nation of rules. We respect the rights of every citizen. But even so, I think that any effort to try and stifle the forward march of a process, which I don't believe can be stopped, certainly is not going to serve the national interest. But I want to see more done. But we had argued in my days at the FGJ that there will be the need for the Judicial Council to hold public fora in all of the 10 regions of the country to allow for citizens and particularly victims of judicial corruption to be able to come forward to file their complaints and to try and seek redress. And that
welcome Nana Akomia, the Communications Director of the NPP. Good morning and welcome, Nana.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for joining us.
And that those players in the industry, and it is not only limited to judges. I know of cases where registrars, court clerks, and even lawyers and have all been implicated or have been suggested to have engaged in acts that have perverted justice. And that those who are found to have engaged in that type of conduct should not only be penalized, but whatever resources or wealth they may have acquired as a result of this perverted perversion of justice.
It's interesting that you say that you know of such situations, and you have actually been in court suing even the judges and magistrates and all of that.
That's right.
You should be the first person to make a complaint if you had any such things.
Oh, in fact, we've written severally to the Judicial Council. I remember at least 3 cases, one involving Kingsley Amankwa, a young man in Winneba who was a staff of Winneba University, and he had a child custody case with his wife. And blatantly, you know, he was frustrated, although the kids were suffering, largely because he believed that there was some perversion of justice. He brought me documentation, and I wrote on his behalf. There was another case that involved the...
So what happened to that? Was it investigated? Well,
the Judicial Council has said that they were going to look into it, but that was before I left. But I've encouraged all of them to reactivate their complaints. The other one had to do with Tedu Kranting, who actually was writing, he's a journalist, he was writing for either the Crusading Guide or the Daily Guide. His father had won a land litigation case, and even to get the judgment so that he can take due custody of his property. The old man died without getting it, and I had to intervene. Finally, under very mysterious circumstances, after 10 years, we were able to get the judgment, and even getting the property returned to the family was an issue. So we had a number of cases that we were pursuing, and I want to encourage that, you know, the process should be opened up so that more citizens can come forward, and that is a way that we can regain the confidence that we seem to have lost in terms of this bad exposure of what is wrong with our justice delivery system.
Dr. Park says he feels that there are attempts to frustrate, you know, the wheels of justice that seem to be grinding a bit faster in this case. Is that your feeling also?
Well, I have already indicated on this very program that I am okay with what you perceive as frustrating tactics or over-reliance on technicalities by lawyers of those
because
judges.
You know the end from this point.
Yes, it's their right. They are entitled to it. If they choose to play the technical formation and stretch the whole matter, who are we to say no to that? Unless it is not allowed by law. And where there's evidence that this abuse of the due process, I'm sure they'll be checkmated appropriately by the committee or those who are in charge of the
legal
system.
A while ago, Judge Bernard Shaw, who was here, who's been practicing in the UK, spoke about the fact that in the UK, there are special circumstances where witnesses are protected and they are allowed to come and give their testimonies behind the screen.
Yeah.
For good reason.
Yes, I have been having a running debate with Egbert Fable on this whole thing of unmaxing.
In fact, he's proceeding to court. Egbert is proceeding to court.
In principle, he's entitled to it.
Because he boycotted the process.
He's entitled to it. You can't close that door to him. He has to pursue it, okay? And to the end, he's doing that on behalf of his client, based on the knowledge of the law. As to whether he will succeed is another matter.
Okay.
I've always insisted, and I've been telling him that the video evidence itself is not hooded. You see? And that's the primary thing.
The video evidence is not hooded.
Yes. But to be honest, to be fair to him, he told me that in the course of his submission and arguments, counter-arguments, he made a concession to the effect that, look, relative to Anas, he knows, even by the voice. So he was prepared to go through the motions with Anas, hooded.
Okay.
But the others, he thought he didn't know. And so they should be unhooded.
Okay.
He made this point to me.
Right.
It's a factual thing I'm putting across.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you make of the brouhaha about Jasajat Nassam not showing up?
I'm not surprised. Not at all. Maybe perhaps the system should have been a bit smarter, more vigilant in terms of how to look at it. I'm sure nobody thought any of them was a flight risk. But I'll be surprised if it's within the jurisdiction. But I'm not surprised in his case. The evidence is blatantly manifest. And I'm sure he has decided not to contest. The best thing to do is to, look for an escape route.
To run away from the law.
Yes. Nobody turn
the irony of life.
Nana, are you disappointed that the police say they can't find him, and people are asking, the judges go around with police escort all the time? How did that happen that they can't find him? For the disciplinary process, whether he showed up or not is inconsequential. If you don't show up, they will continue and pronounce their judgment, and it is binding on you. But for the criminal process, it means that if they can't find him, that's it.
Well, Samson, let me wish your listeners a good Saturday morning. I don't think if the police had any strong suspicion that the judge would try and escape, I'm sure they would have tightened up the security. But otherwise, he has a police escort who provides normal security for the judge. And if the judge intends to escape from the scrutiny of that single police officer, he can easily do it. But I'm sure if the police had enough inkling that he would try and escape, then they would have intensified the security. On the matter of the judiciary, all of us complain, even beyond the corruption that has been now been supported by some evidence. And the delay in cases, justice is not available to the ordinary man or woman. The cost of justice puts many people off from seeking justice. Adjournments, procedural rules can let you go on for years on simple cases. So what would be the point? On the matter of the analysis tape, I know that some of the judges are trying to find some legal processes to either delay the trial or to thwart the process. We're now hearing that one of the judges is actually has not been found. I believe that the way, the manner of the evidence produced by Mr. Anas, Aremiyaw Anas, the graphic nature of the evidence, and the massive public exposure, I believe that we should be at a stage where there should be closure. The judges should proceed, I believe, with some dignity if they would. I mean, they are human beings. They are frailties. They've been caught up in this process. And the necessary penance must be shown. The necessary apologies must be rendered. And forgiveness requested, because this business of junction in here, the junction there, the can shows here, and then the escape, it even makes it more untidy.
Junction here, injunction there, and other processes, they are exercising their constitutional rights.
I have no doubt about that. But it deepens the perception that these people may not be acting honorably. If there's an issue where you've been clearly found out engaged in wrongdoing, such as the video and the evidence presented by Anas, I think the best thing to do is to own up and try and make penance, so that the whole society can move on. And today we can't find a judge, tomorrow another turn and twist. It doesn't help the process.
Interesting views there by Nana Akumia, and a few comments that have come in also on this subject. Look, I'll tell you this, I'm in a hurry to get this out of the way to deal with the other issues. And it's because I've been speaking quite a lot about this matter. I've been accused of being a defender of the judges, some judges unduly, and in the same time, I make enemies even within the judges. I'm telling you about that. Now, Sisi Kole, is that how your name is pronounced? He says, I really wish the submissions made by George and Diana in fighting corruption would be taken seriously by the Chief Justice. Okay, says that for him is the most important thing he wants to see. And then Paul Osei-Kuffour says the misconception of the onus of justice is a misunderstanding of the principal-agency relationship that demands the agents, who are the judges in the case of the judiciary, to be accountable and answerable to the citizens, who are the principals. I agree with Diana Sonabadapa that it is the reverse at the moment, and not only with the judiciary, but the executive and legislators, as you mentioned. Thank you. Paul Kuffour sent in that one from Tamale. Thanks for those messages.